Hey Dynamo Nation, what's going on? My name is James. Thank you for joining me on this episode today. If you're new to the channel, new to Dynamo Nation, welcome. I appreciate you being here. If you're not subscribed, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button. Definitely helps out the channel, helps me pump out more Dynasty content like this. Today's episode, we're going to go through a Superflex draft, first 10 rounds. This is the draft that we set up for the Dynasty League Dynamo inaugural Dynasty League for the subscribers and patrons. If you missed that episode, if you're wanting to get in, I'm going to do 2 more leagues. Send me an email, dynastyleaguedynamo@gmail.com. You have to be a subscriber or a patron. Obviously, priority is going to go to the patrons. But if you hit me up and you want to get in the league, the structure and the setup right here that you're about to see is the exact same league that we're going to roll with. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. You guys can see right on the screen our league structure. It's a 12-team league. Obviously, it's a dynasty. PPR scoring, 1.5 points, tight end premium, 40-man rosters, 5-man IR, 10-man taxi. Our starting requirements: 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, 1 tight end, a kicker, 3 D linemen, 4 LBs, 4 DBs, and then 2 flex between running back, receiver, tight end, and then 1 super flex, obviously. So what we're going to do in this video, I'm going to show you guys the first 10 rounds of this draft. You can kind of see the trends, what's going on. What's popping out to you? I know to me there were some surprise picks, but overall, I didn't feel like anything too crazy. Obviously, we know quarterbacks are going to run in the first round in a super flex. The most interesting part about this draft to me is the running back situation. Those 26, even 25-year-old running backs are being faded very hard in this draft. We're seeing guys go in the 4th and 5th rounds that are typically, RB1s the last few years. So RBs are being faded pretty hard. Obviously, with it being a tight end premium, we see a nice little run on tight ends. So, with all that said, I'm going to throw the first 10 rounds up. You guys can take a look. We can see right away, there's 7 quarterbacks that went in the first round, right? The first 6 picks were all QBs. Dak Prescott was the first one outside the top 6. He went 10th overall. I took him. But overall, 7 quarterbacks. We had 2 running backs and 3 receivers that went in the first round. The skill positions that were not a QB that went in the first round were CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Jonathan Taylor, and DeAndre Swift. Really no surprises there. You can see right away, beginning of the second round, a run on tight ends. Obviously, with this being a tight end premium league, tight ends are going to be a premium, hence the name. We could see right out the gate, Kyle Pitts, Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson, George Kittle, all second-round picks. And then I want you guys to focus in 4th, 5th rounds. Look at those running backs that were going in the 4th and 5th rounds. We're talking some big names here, man. We're talking Antonio Gibson, J.K. Dobbins. Those were the young guys that went a little bit early in the 4th. But then you can see players like Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb, followed it up in the 5th round with Austin Eckler, Michael Carter, another young guy, but Derrick Henry in the 5th round. Even into the 6th round, Saquon, Travis Etienne, Josh Jacobs. Who else is on there? David Montgomery. Elijah Mitchell went in the 6th round. So RBs were getting faded pretty quick in this draft. I was really surprised by that. But this is a great example. This is not a mock. This is not players, just picking for fun. This is an actual draft, an actual startup dynasty draft. This is the structure of the league. And I wanted to get this out to the channel so you guys can see this. Again, this is not us playing around. Like, we're legitimately serious drafting this team. These are going to be our teams for a while. So you can kind of see where we believe the positional value is at right now. Obviously, in a super flex, you're going to be loading up on quarterbacks. If it's a tight end premium, you're going to address that position. And then the wide receivers are the next position that's going in this draft. I want you guys to look at this. Through the first 120 picks, 26 quarterbacks have been drafted. In the first 10 rounds, think about that. 28 RBs, 40 receivers. Receivers are jumping off the board fast. 12 tight ends. And then this is an IDP league. This is a full IDP. So we can see 4 D linemen and then 10 linebackers. So the thing about this draft, we can see, linebackers started in the 7th round. That's when the IDP started going. Roquan Smith, Darius Leonard, and obviously those are 2 of the biggest names in IDP. So if you're an IDP player, then those guys started going. They started a little mini run on linebackers. I waited. I wanted to sit back, see what was going on. My first IDP was Fred Warner in the 9th round. I can live with that as my LB1. I'll take that all day. So with that said, let me know. Do you guys see any surprises on this list? If you do, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think of the first 10 rounds of this draft. Any names that jump out? Are you shocked where any of these players are going? Let's dive into it a little bit. And with that said, I want to show the first 10 quarterbacks off the board in this draft. Let's throw that up. We can see Josh Allen went 1 overall. Number 2 was Herbert at 1-2. 3 was Pat Mahomes at the 1-3. 4 went Joe Burrow at 1-4. The number 5 quarterback, Lamar Jackson, at the 1-5. Kyler Murray was the 6th at the 1-6. Dak Prescott was the 7th at 1-10. Matt Stafford went 8th at the 2-4. Trey Lance went 9th at the 2-7. And then Justin Fields went 10th at the 2-9. Do any of those names surprise you? To me, I feel like a pretty solid list. The name that jumps off this list is Matt Stafford, going as the 8th quarterback off the board. He's a little bit older. I talked with the manager after he drafted him. I thought it was a good move, considering where he was picking at. This being a super flex, you really need to get that number 1 quarterback on your team. Stafford's in a really high up-tempo offense. They just won the Super Bowl. I mean, what else can you say? He's got Cooper Kupp there, Sean McVay. He should be really good for at least another 3 or 4 seasons. So in his situation, I don't mind it, especially if you're going to try to win now right out the gate, right? So, and then the last 2 guys, Lance, Fields, I'm completely fine with both of them finishing out the top 10. Obviously, they're all going in the first 2 rounds. So if you want to get your quarterback in a Superflex startup draft, you're going to have to hit that position hard in the first 2 rounds. If you want to fade that spot, you're going to be stuck with guys like, Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, and they're fine. They can put up nice, solid numbers for you. But do you want to trust them as your QB1? Now, I know Kirk Cousins, for some reason, always finds a way to finish in the top 12. Carr's always flirting with the top 12, and I get it. Ideally, to me, those are my QB2s. If I had them as a QB2, I'm in love with that situation. But I do not want them as my QB1. And that's the risk that you're going to run if you fade that position. Let's move along. Let's take a look at the first 10 running backs that came off the board. So we can see right now the first 2 running backs that came off the board came off in the first round. Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift. They went at 1-8 and 1-12 respectively. Najee Harris was number 3. He went at 2-1. Javonte Williams was the 4th at 2-5. Christian McCaffrey went in the 3-5 spot. The 6th RB was Cam Akers, 306. The 7th RB was Antonio Gibson, 401. The 8th was J.K. Dobbins, 402. The 9th was Dalvin Cook, 408. And the 10th running back off the board was Joe Mixon at the 409. Again, you look at the value here. I like a lot of these running backs, and I like where they were drafted. Obviously, with them being faded down, it allowed me to pick Mixon in the 409 slot. That was my first running back pickup. I went quarterback, tight end, receiver, running back is how I play that out. I was not expecting Mixon to make it there at the 4-9. When I was on the board on the clock in the 4th round, it was actually the 4-3. I slid back 6 spots from the 4-3 to the 4-9 and picked up a 2nd-round pick in the rookie draft this year. I took a gamble. I was hoping he'd be there. Luckily, he was there, so I snapped him up at that 4-9 spot. But yeah, what do you guys think? Take a look at this list. Is there any running back on this list that you felt like shouldn't be in the top 10? Maybe they should have been higher. The one name that I struggle with on this list just a little bit is Antonio Gibson. I'm a big fan of Antonio Gibson. A lot of folks have got down on him, and I get it. But this was his 2nd, 3rd full season playing running back. He played with a hurt, fractured shin all season, and he didn't miss any games. To me, you cannot underestimate and underappreciate that type of value that he brings. He played hurt the entire season for our teams, right? Played hurt, went out there. He's still learning the position. Towards the end of the season, he showed that he can carry the ball 20, 25 times. I mean, that's an invaluable thing to have on our squads. To me, Antonio Gibson, maybe not in the top 4, but I would have been okay with him in front of McCaffrey at this point. Do you trust CMNC? Because I don't. Not that early in the draft. Maybe I'll be proven wrong, but when injuries start to pile up on running backs, that's never a good sign. And McCaffrey got rode hard for a few years. They rode that boy hard, put him away wet. So we'll find out what happens with CMNC, and I hope for the best for him. He's a great player to watch. You know what? To me, Dynasty Startup, I'm probably taking Antonio Gibson right there. All right? So again, you see any names on this list that you don't agree with? Drop them in the comments below. Let's move on to the wide receiver. First 10 receivers off the board. When you really look at the receiver room, there's some great names, man. We've been so blessed with receiver talent in the last few years. It's unbelievable. The last 4 or 5 years, the receivers that have come into the league have been absolutely crazy. The first receiver off the board in this draft was Jamar Chase at the 1-7. No surprise there. Justin Jefferson was the second at the 1.9. CeeDee Lamb was the third at 1.11. Cooper Kupp was the fourth at 2.6. A.J. Brown was the fifth at 2.11. DK Metcalf was the sixth at 2.12. Deebo Samuel, you guys know I love Deebo, was the seventh receiver off the board at 3.1. Tyreek Hill was the eighth at 3.2. Jalen Waddle was the ninth at 3.3. And then T. Higgins was the 10th at 3.4. So we can see right off the rip that run from A.J. Brown to T. Higgins was intense at the receiver position. You know, from 5 to 10, they went real quick. Real quick. So for me, I was sitting there kind of panicking because I was looking at the board. I was like, okay, you know, if A.J. Brown goes, that's fine. I'll grab Waddle. Waddle goes, okay, I'll get T. Higgins. T. Higgins goes, I was like, holy hell, what am I going to do? Luckily for me, sitting at the 3.9, my boy DJ Moore fell to me. You guys know how I feel about DJ Moore. I gladly snapped him up. But again, you can see those top 10 receivers were all gone in the first 3 rounds in this draft. Right or wrong? I mean, you guys know how I am. I advocate building around that receiver room. I like how my league did this. You know, it kind of backfired on me because it didn't allow me to build this team how I wanted to in the beginning, you know, which is stack up those receivers. But we're seeing running backs being faded, receivers being pushed up, and I think that's the smart play in our dynasty leagues. I really do. I'm not mad at you guys. I think you guys play that to a T, to an absolute T. So, again, take a look at this list. What do you guys think? Anybody on this list that should not be here in the top 10? If you disagree, drop it in the comments. And now let's take a look at tight end. So there was only 12 tight ends that went in the first 10 rounds, with this being a tight end premium, but they started to go early. Okay, so let's take a look. Kyle Pitts was the first at the 2.2. I can't disagree with that. Mark Andrews was the second at the 2.3. TJ Hawkinson, third at 2.8. George Kittle was the fourth at 2.10. Dallas Goedert was the fifth at 3.7. Darren Waller was the sixth at 4.3. Travis Kelce was the seventh at 4.4. Dalton Schultz, the eighth at 6.12. Pat Freiermuth was the ninth at 7.5. And Noah Fant was the 10th at 8.11. So what do you guys think? I mean, obviously those first 6, 7 tight ends off the board in the first 4 rounds, again, tight end premium. Tight ends were pushed up the draft, and running backs were slid back down. And to me, with this being a tight end premium league, I was not shocked to see Kyle Pitts go 2.2. Pitts was my number 1 target at tight end. I was picking at 2.3. I thought for sure I was going to get him. It didn't work out. He went 2.2. So what did I do? At the 2.3, Mark Andrews. And it might work out in the long run. Andrews is still, 25 years old, just had an amazing season. And this isn't like the first time Andrews has popped. Andrews has looked really good for the last few years. And if Andrews turns into a perennial, you know, number 1, number 2 tight end, scoring wide receiver 1 type numbers like Travis Kelce, then this pick is going to come back and look beautiful for me. Absolutely beautiful. So I'm not mad at it at all. I'll take Mark Andrews, right? But then you see TJ Hawkinson, George Kittle. We see Darren Waller, Travis Kelce. I'm cool with all 7 of those guys in that range. 7 or 6, whatever it is. I'm cool with all of them. Kelce obviously being the oldest. There's a little bit of rumblings about him maybe starting to decline. I think Kelsey's going to be fine for the next few seasons. He's an elite athlete. You know, he's been a top, before this season, top dynasty tight end in scoring for like 6 straight years. He finished number 2 this season. I don't think he's magically just going to fall off and become a bum. I don't see that happening. I think Kelsey's going to age like a fine wine. I think the next few seasons, he's going to be A-okay. So if you got Kelce and you're worried, if you can't find that young stud, just write him out. Ride Kelce till the wheels fall off. So one of the names that surprised me a little bit was Goddard going before Waller and Kelce. No, I can see the rationale. Goddard was the 5th tight end. He did just get paid a huge contract in Philly, but it's Jalen Hurts. He's attached to Jalen Hurts. We'll see, though. The thing about Goddard, he's 27, so he's not the youngest of this group, but that's the target age for tight ends. If you guys remember the tight end breakout video that we did, that's kind of the age where they normally pop off. So we'll see. If Goddard does have that breakout year this year, that could come back to be a really nice pick. I can see why that pick was made. You know, their risk versus reward. On the downside, if he doesn't pop, you still probably have a tight end 1, but if he blows up, he's probably going to be a top 4 or 5 scoring tight end. I could see it, you know, but that was the only surprise to me. I thought Waller or Kelce would go before Goddard. I definitely thought Goddard would be top 7, top 8. Didn't expect him top 5. But overall, I'm okay with these rankings and how the league drafted. at the tight end position. Obviously, with it being a tight end premium, there's going to be a commodity and a rush and a run on tight ends, and that's what we've seen happen, especially from rounds 2 through 4. Tight ends started going quick, fast, and in a hurry. And then teams were kind of struggling and going in scramble mode for those last few picks. You wanted to lock up a tight end. But no, they all went first 8 rounds, those top 10 tight ends. So, well, what do you guys think? Is there a name on this list that you don't agree with? Let me know and drop it in the comments. So with that being said, I want to show you guys what my team looks like right now through the first 10 rounds. Again, this league, this is a subscriber league, a patron league. Everyone knows my strategy. And I feel like I'm doing okay. I don't feel great. I don't feel terrible. I feel okay right now. You guys let me know what you think. If you think I have absolutely shit the bed in this draft, I'm okay hearing that. You let me know what you think. I don't think it's that bad, though. I can live with it. So first round, Dak Prescott, the 10th pick. Second round, I took Mark Andrews at the 2-3. Third round, DJ Moore at the 3-10. Fourth round, remember, I traded down from 4-3 to 4-9, picked up a second round pick in the rookie draft, and I took Joe Mixon. Fifth round at the 5-10, I took Calvin Ridley. To me, that was my biggest gamble. But the thing with Ridley is he was like the 20th receiver off the board at this point. I'm going to have to take that risk all day because if Calvin Ridley comes back, which I believe he will, we've seen what type of talent he has. Like, he's not the 20th best receiver in the league. If he comes back and he plays and he's healthy, he's going to be a top, 7, 8, 9 scoring receiver. I'll take Calvin Ridley in the back end of the 5th round all day. I think that's great value there. 6th round at the 6-3, I took Tua. Obviously, this being a super flex, 2 quarterbacks is very, very important. I like what Mike McDaniel brings to that offense. I think Tua, in the right situation, can excel. An early first-round pick, just finished his 2nd year in the league. All the turnover going on in Miami, all the drama. McDaniel comes in, believes in him. I think there's a chance that Tua has a really good season in that offense. At 7, I took CEH. Again, this was a value pick. We're going to see what happens in the offseason. Wasn't in love with this selection, but where I was picking, what was happening on the running back situation, I needed to grab someone, and I needed to grab someone quick. CEH was the best on the board, in my opinion, at that point. Chase Claypool, I came back and got in the 8th. I'm really happy with that pick. I think that's a really nice value pick. Fred Warner, like I mentioned before, I took him at the 10th pick in the 9th round, so I have my IDP started. And then 10th pick in the 3rd round, I grabbed Mike Williams. The thing about Mike Williams, obviously he's a free agent. We'll see if he goes back to the Chargers. I'm hoping he does. Herbert's come out and kind of petition for him to come back. If he doesn't, just a sneak peek, I grabbed Josh Palmer later on in this draft to double down. So if Williams leaves, Palmer likely ascends into that spot. And then at that point, I have 2 starting receivers out of this draft, right? Palmer with the Chargers, and then wherever Williams goes. So yeah, let me know how you guys think my draft is going through the first 10 rounds. My plan is once we hit round 20, I'm going to do an update because this is a 40-round draft, 4-0. I'm going to show you guys an update. I want to do this every 10 rounds to show you exactly what's going on so you can see from a brand new, fresh startup Dynasty League where players are going. This is the IDP. It's Superflex, tight end premium, rolling it all into one, right? So every 10 rounds, I'm going to do an update, and you guys are able to see exactly where we're at. I think this is a really interesting draft. I like the mix of guys we have. Shout out to everybody in the Dynasty League, Dynamo League. It's been a great group. We're running a Discord. We're actually doing the draft on Sleeper because we can't do the draft on My Fantasy League right now. Then we're going into My Fantasy League, adding the players as a free agent. It's been chaos, but we're having a lot of fun. I really do appreciate everyone who's in the league. It seems like a really good group of guys. So again, if you want to get in a league, hit me up on email, dynastyleaguedynamo@gmail.com. I'm going to be doing 2 more of these. Again, these are going to be for subscribers and patrons only. Patrons will have preference for the next couple of leagues that we set up like this. If you're unfamiliar with that information, I'm going to drop that down right here. So that's going to be it. I hope you guys are having a great week. Hope everyone's staying safe out there. Dynasty League is upon us. The Super Bowl is over. This is the Dynasty League time, guys. Get ready for it. I've been amped up, ready to go. All the mock stuff, all the rookie rankings, all of it. The draft, all of it is getting ready to come up. So stay tuned. Stay locked into the channel. As always, you have any questions, drop them below. And yeah, that's going to be it. So you guys have a great week. stay safe, and I'll see you soon.